Weren't we supposed to do this episode topless? We did kind of promise that last week.
Only if we get $1 million in Patreon donations.
I don't think we were in that specific, but yeah.
$100
You
in
guys
Patreon
didn't pony
donations?
up, so we got shirts on today. We're back!
Hi. Hi, everybody.
This is Kevin.
This is Brian.
And we're the Horror Guys.
Mm-hmm.
And this week we got a whole bunch more movies for you. Some good ones?
We got some good ones. We
Got
got
some
some
bad
bad
ones?
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the movies.
We got a mix.
This week
Yeah.
we'll cover the Universal Studios movie Black Friday from 1940.
Mm-hmm.
Our drive-in classic, The Quatermass Experiment from 1955. And the very new movie Truth or Dare from 2017. As well as the international feature Hause, also known as Hausu from 1977. And that's a lot of movie talk, so hang on, cause
Here we go.
we do.
So we saw this Universal Studios picture from 1944, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Not exactly.
No?
Close.
There's some real similarities.
There is. It's called
Black
Black Friday.
Friday.
Directed by Arthur Lubin, written by Carl Sayadmak, and stars Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, and the great and well-known Stanley Ridges.
It's a prequel to Friday the 13th. Okay, no, not that either? Okay,
No.
It takes place on Friday the 13th. Well, it
Part of it takes place
yeah,
on Friday.
part of it takes place,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, first of all, this is a very misleading movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Second billing, Bela Lugosi, who's get 3-4 minute screen time tops.
But, yeah, second billing. Yeah.
Top
but,
billing, Boris Karloff,
but the name,
who is easily
yeah.
the number 2 character here.
Yeah. Stanley Ridges got third billing, and he was really the phenomenal actor in this one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he clearly was the main guy.
playing 2 roles. Yeah.
We start out at the state penitentiary where Dr. Ernst Sovak, who sounds very much like a Bond villain, played by Boris Karloff, is awaiting execution in the electric chair. He hands one of the reporters his notes of what really happened.
You were the only one who treated me fairly in the media, so I bequeath my notes to you.
So then we fade out and go back in time to
A flashback.
Friday the 13th.
When it all began.
Professor George Kingsley is ending his course for the term. He's an English professor. Afterwards, he's walking down the street and gets hit by a car. Boom.
Boom.
The driver of the car, Red Cannon, had been shot by a bunch of gangsters led by Eric Manet, played by Bela Lugosi. Red Cannon and Kingsley are both taken to the hospital in the ambulance, but Dr. Sovak says Kingsley is going to die.
And he has a remedy for this.
Just so happens
Yeah.
that he's a talented brain surgeon, and he decides to perform an emergency brain transplant.
Now, I guess it's not an entire brain transplant, just parts, the damaged parts.
Except he calls it a brain transplant.
But it just
He's not
refers
that
to it
specific.
as a brain transplant. But if it was a complete brain transplant, it would be a complete, memory transfer.
And they do this in 1940. It's not like that science is
so
that bad.
so it's a little science fiction-y. Yeah.
He uses the brain of Red Cannon to fix Kingsley. It comes out later that Cannon had $500,000 hidden somewhere, and Sovak decides to find it somehow.
Just think how that could fund my further research, he
Yeah.
thinks to himself
I
out
don't know, I
loud.
think his research is doing pretty good as it is.
Yeah.
Sovak suggests to the recuperating Kingsley that they go on a fun road trip to New York, where Cannon used to live. Kingsley says he's been having these angry outbursts, which is very much unlike him. He's completely unaware that he has some of Cannon inside him.
So he's kind of manifesting Cannon a little bit, and the doctor takes him to Cannon's old haunts and really encourages and pushes and takes him to the same place and meeting the same people so that Red Cannon's traits will really come out, and they do.
He recognizes some of the people at the nightclub, even though he's never been to that city before.
Mm-hmm.
When Kingsley goes to sleep, Sovak calls out for Red Cannon, and Red answers. He's now got darker hair and looks a lot younger, but it's the same actor. Which couldn't really tell right away. He looks very different.
He does, yeah. He did a really spectacular job, I thought, of playing the 2 different personas.
Red
Yeah.
sneaks out and kills a man, Devore, one of those who shot at his car. The next night, he does the same to Kane, another of the 4 men. But this time, Sovak is watching from a few cars behind. So now he knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Red goes to visit his old girlfriend. He looks different than he used to, but he still manages to convince her that he's Red.
Because he knows things that only the two of them knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next morning, he kills 2 detectives at Marnay's apartment. The girlfriend tells all to Marnay. She's on his side.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. Kingsley shows up, and George is nowhere to be found. Sovak explains everything to his daughter Jean. Red's girlfriend then continues to keep Marnay informed about what's going on. Red finally goes after the stashed money, with Marnay and the goon Miller right behind him. Marnay runs off with the money, and Red kills Miller.
Complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red locks Marnay in a little refrigerator, and then he kills the girlfriend, leaving Marnay to die in the fridge.
Bela Lugosi.
A cold revenge.
Yes. Revenge is a dish best served cold. That's what
right.
they mean when you shut somebody in a refrigerator. Yeah.
He takes a taxi to the airport and then goes to sleep on the way. He wakes up as George Kingsley and then goes back to the hotel in Sovak. Both of them then go back to Newcastle, and Red's brain is dormant.
Or so they think.
George starts to hallucinate a bunch of dead gangsters, and then he becomes Red again, right in front of all his students. Red starts to kill Sovak's daughter, but Sovak shoots him in the back. Red turns back into George and dies. We then flash back to the present, where Sovak dies in the electric chair for shooting his best friend George in the back.
And now we know why he did that.
It's a really bad day at Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it all started badly.
You could almost
Ended
say
badly,
it was
too.
a Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The science in this one is particularly bad. Even in 1940, they knew that brain transplants wouldn't have this kind of effect. I definitely did like how George and Red's hair and face changed when he shifted between personalities. At first, I thought it was different actors.
See, that's some bad science too, though. Even if it was even if this, partial brain transplant and the guy's personality and memories were manifesting, it wouldn't make your hair darker. And then gray again, and then dark again, and then gray again.
Split personalities do some strange things, but they
don't change their hair color when they have a split personality.
Karloff does a good job as another tired old scientist, but Stanley Ridges is great as the dual personality mobster, and Bela Lugosi has the worst New York gangster accent I have ever heard, and is completely wasted here.
Yeah, it is.
Supposedly, Karloff was going to play George and Red, but he couldn't pull off the gangster side of things very well, so they shifted all the parts around, leaving Lugosi as Marnay, not a part that he was really good at. Red's girlfriend's apartment has a secret room full of alcohol. This is interesting, but Prohibition ended in 1933, which the movie was 1940. They never really explained when it happened, so you could probably argue that, but why have a secret bar in your apartment for no particular reason?
I think the secret bar was a holdover for that, but it also had guns and other illegal things in it, too. And he could stash money there, and I think it was just a holdover from a secret stash.
It was a way to
Prohibition.
demonstrate that he knew the secrets.
Yeah.
He really is Red, not the
Yeah,
other
because he walked
person.
right over to the switch and opened the secret panel, and only Red and the gal knew that, so yeah.
Well, we're about 20 weeks into our Universals now. Universal films. We're doing good with those.
I give this one a thumbs up overall. I mean, the science was bad, but I think because of Stanley Ridge's performance in it, really made it for me.
Yeah. It was good. It was it's
It's decent.
It's not bad.
It's not a great movie, but very watchable and very entertaining.
Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah.
Speaking of decent and entertaining, our drive-in special this week is the Quatermass Experiment from 1955.
And we may have trouble saying Quatermass, it's not Quatermass because there's no R in it. For a long time I thought that was Quatermass.
And yet the various actors pronounce a different way in the show too.
Yeah,
so
throughout the movie it's pronounced.
So, like I said, we're about a third of the way through the Universal movies at this point, and Quatermass is the first of the Hammer films.
1955.
Many Hammer horror movies, and this was really their first. They were around as a company before this, just like Universal was, but this is the first big sci-fi / horror movie that they put out that was successful. And it launched Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing and all those guys a little later on.
But not yet.
Not yet.
No.
This one here, we got the director of Val Guest, written by Richard Landau, stars Brian Donlevy, Jack Warner, and Marja Dean. Also known as The Creeping Unknown. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Still black and white.
Yes, they hadn't invented color yet. 1955. They're getting close, though.
Well, they had color movies. This just wasn't one.
I know they did. Yeah, this wasn't one of them. Yeah.
A couple is making out down on the farm, literally taking a roll in the hay, when a strange thing comes down from the sky and damages the house.
Is it a meteor? No, that's no meteor. That's a rocket.
That's a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And fire trucks, police, and the ambulances show up along with a crowd of hundreds of spectators to see the rocket. And it's a rocket. It's stuck on the ground like if you took a big dart and jabbed it in the dirt.
Too hot to open. Too hot to approach.
A crowd of experts, led by Dr. Quatermass, head to the rocket in their VW bus. It's Quatermass's
Classic.
Q1 project, and he doesn't know why it crashed.
It was in space for 57 hours. They kind of lost track of it. It came back down.
And he launched it before getting permission, so his career is on the line if something goes wrong.
Yeah, he just said, these three guys and sent them up. And
Can we launch the rocket now?
Sure.
No.
Okay. Yeah, do it anyway. And he does.
Yeah, he's a do-it-anyway kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. He likes to get things done. Yeah.
After a great deal of debate, they opened the door. 3 men went up on the rocket, but only one, Victor, came back down, and he seems to be in shock.
He ain't right. Yeah.
He's gaunt, his skin is rubbery, and he's very unhealthy looking. He's not only catatonic, his fingerprints don't match the ones taken before his flight. They find some kind of jelly in the cracks of the ship, and the medical doctor thinks it's the remains of the missing crew members.
Ew.
They develop the film from the flight recorder and watch to see what happened. They watch the 2 astronauts die, but there's no explanation for the missing bodies.
Some kind of energy wave or something that they ran into. There's some
Just a flash
distortion.
and they all fall over.
Yeah.
One man comes to break Victor out of the hospital and dies when Victor touches him. He runs into his girlfriend, who finds him, but he gets away from her. Quatermass suggests that maybe the rocket passed through some kind of energy creature that took over Victor.
But you didn't mention the reason that he gets away from her.
Why's that?
She sees his hand.
Which is now...
Part cactus?
He smashes a cactus on the table, and then he becomes part cactus.
Yeah, and his hand is... Yeah, and she gets a sight of that, and she's like, ah! And pulls over to the side, and he runs away.
Yeah. So Quatermass thinks it's an energy creature that took over Victor, and he may be right. Victor then kills a pharmacist by draining the life force out of him. The next morning, Victor wakes up near a little girl playing with dolls. Not like a Frankenstein kind of scene there.
And it is kind of reminiscent of that.
He runs off, though, rather than kill the girl. He's still sort of got his right mind.
Yeah, he's fighting it. But the alien, whatever it is winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That night, he shows up at the zoo. He doesn't look quite so human anymore, and he kills several of the big cats, draining off their life force. "What do we look for now?" the inspector asks. "You'll know it when you see it," Quatermass says.
Is the big slime trail all the way across the...
Like a big slug leaves a trail.
Yeah.
A homeless woman reports seeing an enormous creepy crawly thing crawling on a wall.
And she's
creepy crawling going on there.
And that's kind of a comic relief, too, because she's a chronic drunk who, I guess, regularly comes into the police station reporting her hallucinations. And
this time
what? This time it was real? I wasn't imagining it? She's genuinely surprised.
It eventually kills a man at Westminster Abbey, and everyone converges on the spot at exactly the same time that the BBC is broadcasting a show there.
And he doesn't look human at all anymore.
No, he's a blob.
Yeah.
It's 20 feet across and ready to reproduce. They divert all the electrical power from London to zap the thing. They do finally destroy it, and Quatermass then says he's going to start again with a new rocket. Dun dun dun.
He's a determined man, a determined scientist.
This was the first sci-fi based horror film that was hugely successful and launched the sci-fi horror craze of the 50s and 60s. It was also Hammer's first big hit and their first real horror movie. And we'll be looking at a lot of Hammer's work in the coming year.
We will.
This is a cult classic, and I can kind of see the appeal.
Yeah.
It's a sort of scientific detective story with a mystery, a monster, and even some action. The monster's pretty cheesy at the end, but you can see where they tried a lot of new things. Like the astronauts walking around on the walls of their spaceship. He walks across the floor, then he goes up the wall.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a neat... You've seen this effect before, but probably not a lot in 1955.
In 1955, it would have been a very new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like it?
I did. Overall, yeah.
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 It had some issues. It was a little slow by modern movies, but it was good.
It's a classic 1950s science fiction-y.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess there was a Quatermass TV series from 1953, BBC. I don't know how long it ran, but this was based on those characters and some of the stuff that went on there.
And they did a remake in 2005.
Of the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to see that.
We need to see that. Yeah.
And next week we'll see Quatermass 2 and talk about that one, so stay tuned there.
We cheated. We already saw
We
it.
watched all three.
But we're not going to talk about it yet.
We liked them so much we binged them one night.
We did, yeah. We watched all three consecutively.
Did you watch a short this week?
We did. We
watched.
Don't look? Don't look. Don't look at it.
Don't look.
But he looks.
Yeah. A guy watches a YouTube video and starts laughing. A friend comes over and shows him the video. We don't know why he was laughing. The first guy goes to the bathroom, but first tells the friend not to look at the video till he gets back. Naturally, the friend plays the video without waiting, and there's a scary man on the screen. The friend comes back, and they start playing the video, and now the scary man is gone.
I wonder where he went.
The first guy starts freaking out, and we'll let you find out why.
Yeah.
Link in the show notes. It's on YouTube. It's like 4.5 minutes. It's short.
Short and sweet, and I liked it.
Yeah, it was decent.
It was decent, yeah.
You kind of know where it's going to go when it goes, but yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, worth it. What else did we watch?
Want to play a game?
Truth or Dare.
Truth.
Did you watch this movie?
I did.
Did you enjoy it?
I mostly.
Okay.
Truth or Dare 2017. Available on Amazon.
Yeah, it is.
Is this the one with the extended version and the short version?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one on Amazon
10 minutes
or
difference.
the one maybe it's on Netflix is an hour and 28 minutes. We watched the hour and 40-minute extended version.
And that's worth it, I guess, because
supposedly there's a lot more gore and a lot more scary stuff, and we didn't think there was that much gore and scary stuff even in that.
It wasn't that bad, so I think the short version would be really tame. Yeah.
Pick up the longer version, hour and 40 minutes.
Definitely.
Well, a girl walks into a Mexican gas station and sets a random stranger on fire while apologizing to her. Almost sounds like the beginning of a joke, doesn't it? Girl walks into a Mexican gas station and sets someone on fire.
Yeah.
Boy, is he hot.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, but anyway, that's it. Then we fade away, and two college girls are talking about their last spring break together. Olivia had volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, but Marky took her off the list so the 6 friends could all go on break together. That's what friends are for.
And then they have a montage of going on break.
Vacation in Mexico.
The credits,
montage as the credits roll.
And I guess the actors really filmed those on their own.
They went to Mexico
hanging out. They actually went
film.
to location and and spent a day having fun and filming each other and playing for real.
Olivia meets a guy named Carter at the bar on their final night in Mexico. He saves her from a creep named Ronnie at the bar. Carter knows a place they can go, but he takes them to an abandoned old house with a cooler full of beer inside. At some party.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't have got beer in the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ronnie catches up to them, and not long after, Carter suggests the group play...
Let's play a game.
Truth or Dare.
Something like Truth or Dare, yeah.
Finally, it's Carter's turn. He chooses Truth. And he says, I needed to find someone with friends that I could lure here to play this game, because I'm okay with strangers dying if it means I get to live.
And then he runs for it.
And then he runs away.
Yeah.
They're like, what was that about?
So they all go back to the States.
But he grabs Olivia and tells her the rules. Do the dare or you die.
Uh-huh.
Just follow the rules and you'll be okay.
Yeah, just do
the
play the
dare
game
or
and
you
you'll be
die.
okay. Yeah.
Then they all go home to university because break is over. Olivia starts seeing the phrase truth or dare everywhere. scratched into her car, on the side of the wall, every place.
And other people don't see it scratched into the car. Only she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's something.
Even strangers start coming up to her and asking her to choose.
Truth or dare.
Olivia finally chooses truth and shouts out, "Marky is constantly cheating with Lucas." In the very public library, while Marky and Lucas are both present.
Oops,
It
spilled the
doesn't go
beans.
well.
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's kind of
always
terrifying.
an inconvenient truth.
She starts everybody in the library starts saying truth or dare, truth or dare, truth or and like
And their
clustering
faces
in her.
change like
Yeah,
it's
there's
an
this
Instagram kind of
there's
thing.
this great big distorted grin on everybody's face.
Joker face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the paleness, and she blurts, she screams out truth, and they all in unison say, what's the secret that you're keeping for your best friend? And then she screams out, and spills the beans. Yeah.
Lucas then goes next, and he gets the question, and he tells Olivia that he loves her, but he does now believe that the game is real because truth or dare got burned into his arm. Marky then gets one, tells her to break Olivia's hand. Olivia's like, "Okay, you have to do it now," and hands Marky a hammer, and Marky does it.
Didn't we have a death before then?
Not yet. We're
The
getting
pool,
there.
the pool guy didn't happen first.
I've skipped a line.
You
Okay.
skipped.
Well,
Ronnie.
before Lucas's
Yeah.
turn, Ronnie gets a turn.
Because they get further convincing.
Yeah. Ronnie chooses dare and has to expose himself at the bar. At first he agrees, but then he changes his mind and falls off the table, breaking his neck in a very Final Destination kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
This then goes out on video to everyone. Olivia sees the video and remembers what Carter told her.
Truth or dare.
Then Lucas gets the truth, and then Marky gets the dare and has to break her hand. Brad is up next. He chooses truth. He then runs into his dad at the hospital and has to tell him the truth that he's gay and has been avoiding his policeman father.
And that's good. He feels good after that to get it off his chest.
Doesn't always seem to hurt.
So it doesn't. It's not always a bad thing, or so we see.
Usually.
So we think. Yeah.
Next up is Tyson, who is interviewing for medical school. He chooses truth, but then he lies when he gives his answer. He then takes out his lucky pen and jabs it into his forehead. Rather hard.
Into his eye.
Into his eye, okay.
And then bangs his head again in the wall to jam it all the way in.
All the way through.
Yeah.
Penelope then tries to choose truth, but it won't let her. As a dare, she's forced into taking a dare. She has to walk along the roof of a building until she finishes a bottle of vodka. She drinks it all and then falls, but manages to survive the fall.
She completed the dare.
She did. She
survived it.
Yeah. Got kind of lucky, but she survived it.
Yeah.
They research a news article about the girl in the pre-credit sequence. She's still on the run for setting that other girl on fire, but the game hasn't killed her yet. She and Carter and her friends partied in the very same Mexican church, and now it's her turn again. The girl pulls out a gun to shoot Olivia, but Penelope jumps in front of the bullet and dies.
Ends up getting it anyway.
They continue to research that particular Mexican church. A priest was murdered there, and not long after there was a massacre. The only survivor was one young nun. Olivia gets a new turn, and she chooses dare, and this dare is to have sex with Lucas.
It's rough, but yeah okay, we gotta.
They track down the nun, and she explains how the nuns were abused by that priest. She originally summoned the demon named Calyx, who possessed the game.
Because the priest was abusing them all.
Yeah.
And she summoned the demon to help them, which he did, but then there was strings
and
attached.
Then it went downhill.
Yeah, he kept killing. So,
many of the nuns died in the game, and the cost was she was able to live, but she had to sacrifice her own tongue. There's this ritual with a bottle and a spell, and finally you got to cut your tongue out and put it in the bottle, and the demon gets locked in there.
And the reason it got released was because they were horsing around at the church. They broke the bottle that had the sacrifice in it. So,
oops.
Yeah.
Brad then gets killed in his next turn, and now only Lucas, Olivia, and Marky survive. Olivia has to go next, and she ends up telling Marky that it was her fault that Marky's father committed suicide. I saw that coming an hour ahead. She mentioned that there was a super secret.
Mm-hmm.
They track down Carter, and the whole group sets off to go back to the old church.
Adventures.
They make Carter read the spell 7 times. At gunpoint, Olivia orders him then to cut out his own tongue. He does it, but before the spell is complete, Lucas is possessed and kills him, and then cuts his own throat. Olivia then makes a YouTube video explaining the game, and it sucks in thousands of new players.
All her friends, yeah, her social media friends.
Yeah.
Because that's how the game works. You have to have a group of friends that you can pass it on to. Well, she's got friends, thousands of them.
The game goes viral.
Yeah.
Not the happy ending you were expecting.
No. Calyx wins. Yeah.
As usual in this kind of movie, the 6 main characters are mostly unlikable with the exception of the main character, Olivia.
I thought they were more likable in this one than typical.
They spend a lot
didn't
more
hate
time
'em
on the characterization
nearly
in
as
this.
much. Yeah.
The movie gets to the rules right away and starts with the actual plot very quickly. This, however, means they have more time to drag things out and people don't die fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 6 characters,
Mm-hmm.
and like Kevin said, they spend a lot more time on characterization and you get to know the
And
people
I
better.
started caring more about these people than typical
Yeah.
in this sort of thing.
But you
I
know
just
what's going to
think-
happen to them, so
Well,
don't care too much.
It was almost a spoiler at the beginning, the way that opening scene before the opening credits, where she's at the gas station on the run, and it's clearly some demonic force that is not omnipotent, probably, but she can't get away from it no matter what she does, and it's dark magic, and it's like, well, these people are all doomed. They're not. There's no fighting magic that powerful, or this being that powerful, or whatever it is. But I thought it was a little bit of a spoiler. Like, oh, they're all doomed.
It's hard to beat magic.
It's not going to be a happy ending. 'Cause,
Well, we watched the extended unrated version, which was supposed to be extra gory, but I still thought it was pretty tame.
pretty tame as far as
It
these
just sort
things
of felt
go.
kind
There
of
was
long
some,
and slow.
yeah. There was some gore, but not. Yeah.
The ending and the last minute twist were good, but overall the movie was pretty predictable and so-so, I thought.
Well,
I'd give it a solid 5.
I give it a 7, maybe an 8. Yeah, 7. I thought there were moments when it could have been predictable and wasn't quite. Like when she's walking around the roof and she's all drunk and trying to complete that task, and there's this
a
spiked fence. And it's like, it's so obvious she's going to fall on the fence, and she didn't. And there were things that throughout the movie, it's like, oh, this is going to happen, and it doesn't. So it wasn't completely predictable, not as much as as typical of these
I
kind
like
of
the one
movies.
where she had to smash her hand with the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to
Owie.
do it. Smash my hand with the hammer. And she's like, here, hurry, please, smash my hand.
Yeah, trying to convince her. Yeah. Owie.
Ow.
Yeah.
Truth or dare?
Truth.
Did you watch a 4th movie this week?
Saw one called Hause from 1977, or Hausu,
Hausu.
Japanese. So
Directed
1977. So it wasn't high tech. It
yeah.
wasn't
It's a lot more high-tech than I would have guessed. Directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi, written by Chiho Katsura, stars Kimiko Ikigami, Miki Jinbo, and Kumiko Oba.
Easy
1
for
hour,
you to say.
27 minutes. I think I got those right.
Yeah.
Now, there's 7 girls in this movie, and they have the weirdest names, which I'll get to in a minute. This is a kind of a weird movie. No, this is a weird movie.
Very weird.
Last
Yeah.
week we talked about 1981's Possession movie, and it was weird, and we hated it.
Mm-hmm.
This one was weird, and I'm not even going to say what I think yet, because I'm going to wait and see what he thinks. We haven't talked about this one yet.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Gorgeous and Fantasy, 2 of the friends. Gorgeous and Fantasy are friends in high school. Gorgeous's father works for the film industry, and he's just back from Italy. He brought his new wife as going to be Gorgeous's mother, which is news to her.
Surprise.
Who's this? Oh, it's your mother.
She doesn't react well to it.
No.
No.
The next morning, Gorgeous meets up with her 6 friends. Mac, Prof, Sweet, Kung Fu, Fantasy, and Melody. And believe it or not, all of these characters, That's their attribute, just happens to be their name. Kung Fu is a fighter.
Prof
Melody
is
a
professor.
musician.
She's
The
really
smart
brainy.
one, yeah. Gorgeous invites them all to her aunt's house in her dead mother's hometown. Her uncle died in the war, and her aunt never remarried. They take the bus and run into a fat man in a shop that points the way to the aunt's house.
The harbinger.
Every movie. We haven't had visitors in a long time. The lady will be very displeased, he tells his watermelon.
Yeah, he talks to his watermelons. Yeah.
We meet up with the aunt, and almost immediately one of the girls' cameras breaks. The aunt used to teach piano, but she hasn't in a long time. She's in a wheelchair now. Soon, Fantasy finds Mac's head floating in the well. It smiles and bites her in the butt.
Yeah, like literally. Yeah.
When the other girls go to look, it's just Mac's watermelon floating there. Later, Kung Fu has to fight off some attacking firewood.
Yes, firewood. You heard that right.
The aunt is eating bits of Mac's corpse and doing various witchy things around the house. It's very clear to us that she's a witch.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous spends too much time watching herself in the mirror and sets herself on fire and burns up. Spontaneous combustion. Melody is playing music on the piano while the skeleton in the corner keeps time. Then the piano bites her finger. Just one. Chomp.
At first.
Sweet is eaten by pillows and mattresses in the supply room. And okay, we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
The ghost of Gorgeous then goes outside. Suddenly, all the doors and windows shut and lock, and everyone is trapped inside with no power. Kung Fu tries to kick the door down.
Doesn't work.
It has no luck,
Yeah.
They find Mac's hand and start to get concerned. The piano then bites off all of Melody's fingers, then it swallows her whole. That was a great scene. You're silent, okay. Gorgeous returns, explaining that the aunt has been dead for years, but her body remains, eating all the unmarried girls who come to visit. Finally, it's Kung Fu versus Gorgeous's ghost in one of the most unique battle scenes ever. What'd you think?
I kind of hated it.
Knew you were going to say that.
There were some chuckles. I mean, like the severed fingers that kept playing the piano after it ate her.
The fingers themselves, they got bit off, but then they're just playing the piano by themselves.
Yeah. Well, it was like, kind of filmed in hyper reality, like a kid's show, or it wasn't scary. It wasn't any more scary than an episode of Scooby-Doo.
It might be scary if you were 6.
Well, yeah, it's like a kid's show.
It's not a kid's show, though.
But
this
it's
was
like
serious.
It's a kid's show for children you hate. Here, Timmy, watch this. It probably would freak out children.
Kid's show for children you hate.
But
yes.
as an adult, I just kind of thought it was mostly just lame. I didn't find it very entertaining. It was weird. And yeah, it's weird. Oh, look, something else weird happened.
You want to watch this again or watch Possession again?
I think I'd rather watch Possession again.
This could only be called a live-action anime. The visual style is something like a cross between an anime and H.R. Pufnstuf.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
like you said, children's show.
Or Pee-wee's Playhouse, or
The visuals are way out there and completely unique. It's done in a washed-out soap opera style, with fake clouds and over-the-top artificial sets, strange musical bits for no particular reason, cartoon segments, and oddly inappropriate bits of humor.
Now, one thing I did like that was a clever bit, I thought. They're traveling on the bus going to the mountain town.
Bright, cloudy sky. This is a matte painting.
And it's a matte painting, clearly, that that you're seeing outside the bus windows. And then they pull up and get out of the bus, and it's clearly they're standing in front of a matte painting, and you see the wide frame, and you can see the small matte painting that's in front of the bus where the girls are standing.
It looks like a mistake, but it's not.
It's a deliberate style thing that they use this matte painting on purpose, and then they pull back and you see the matte painting within the matte painting, and it was kind of clever,
neat.
kind of a neat way to do it. Yeah.
All of the girls are named after their primary attribute, and they're mostly all stereotypes based on that type. There are two very simple little short music segments that are repeated over and over throughout the film.
Too much.
And they really start to grate after the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's just...
Yeah, that one tune especially. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was recurring. Yeah.
It's kind of like a little anime tune. It's kind of cute. It's kind of light the first time you hear it, but then it gets repeated.
By the 30th time you hear it, it's a little old. Yeah.
Overall, it's silly. The acting is truly atrocious, and the story is not much better. But I still recommend seeing this, just so you can see this. The visuals alone make up for the problems with everything else. I give it a serious 6. What's your number?
I'm thinking a 0.5. A 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Didn't really care for it.
Okay.
We watched it, so you don't have to.
But we watched it, so you do have to.
Well, it's kind of a paradox
I'm saying
there.
watch it. He's saying stay away.
Yeah.
At least we both agree on possession.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's our show.
That is our show.
Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at horrorguys.com for news and horror updates, to comment on this podcast, or to contact us. If there's a horror movie out there that you have seen recently that we need to see, and tell us about it.
Yeah, let us know.
We've got certain things that we have to do each week, like the Universal films, but we've got room for openings. If you got a good suggestion,
and if you're a filmmaker, even a short or a full length, let us know.
Yeah.
Send us a screener copy if you can,
or point us to your YouTube, whichever.
Yeah, or if it's available online as a full movie or whatever. Yeah, we'll review. We're up for independent things too. So, yeah.
We might slam you. Oh, we'll probably be extra generous.
Oh, we'll be gentle. Yeah, we're gentle with indies. Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Well, next week, we'll be watching Universal Studios' monster flick, The Invisible Man Returns from 1940. Did that get Claude Rains or somebody else?
I don't know.
I don't know yet. Okay,
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we will.
Somewhat contemporary classic, Quatermass 2 from 1957.
We already saw it.
The only thing better than Quatermass is more Quatermass.
More Quatermass.
The very new movie, 1822 from 2017.
No, 1922.
Yeah, not if you type it wrong.
Okay, 1922. Stephen King.
Yes. Time travel. Is it time travel?
I don't think so. Okay. Not that one.
I know what 1963 is
right.
about.
Yes. No, this actually takes place in 1922 and just a horror movie.
Have not
set
seen
in
this
that year,
yet.
I believe.
Okay.
Haven't seen it. Yeah.
And our international feature, Haute Tension from 2003.
Haven't seen that either. Haute? I'm not
French.
sure how to pronounce that. Okay. And that was going to be my next question. What nationality is
French,
this?
yes.
Okay.
Give them a watch this week, and we'll talk about those next week, and you can compare what you think to what we think.
Yeah.
Check out our Twitter feed at Horror Bulletin and our group Horror Guys Podcast on Facebook. Check out our Patreon page if you want to give us a couple bucks. We're working on some very special episodes that are going to go out to the Patreon people soon.
Mm-hmm.
We'll tell you about more of those in a week or two.
Yeah.
And I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
I'm not Kevin.
I'm not Brian.
But we are the Horror Guys.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.